today, the 4-pillar plan that can change your life. That is what we're going to be discussing today. Now, this ties in extremely well with another video that's coming out, which is entitled something along the lines of experiences outside of our comfort zone make us or break us. And that's sort of a trending theme that I've noticed a lot with myself, with clients. Like, people who have an experience outside of their comfort zone are either going to thrive off that, or they're going to just completely crumble, depending on realistically how they look at themselves and how they look at themselves being able to, approach that specific challenge. However, today is exclusively about the 4-pillar plan that can change your life. Or sorry, the 4-pillar plan that changed my life, that can change your life if you allow it to. So the 4-pillar plan it's been broken down basically into 4 main pillars, whereas what we teach on our trauma-informed coaching course is a 12-pillar plan that changes your life. It's just much more in depth, much more sort of, there's the 4 main pillars that really changed my life, and then there's the 12 subsidiary pillars that did wonders, and I wouldn't be where I am today without them, but they're not 4 main pillars, if that makes sense. We still need to know them, but that's what we teach versus what this is, if that makes sense. The reason I'm highlighting these 4 pillars is because they're the 4 that I think are the most important and the most drastic, that's actually going to help you in the long run. So I've said it time and time again before in terms of thriving and not surviving. And this is a term that at Mind and Body Fitness we like to use a lot, because it really does sort of show that no matter what kind of survival state you're in, no matter what sort of hyper or hyperarousal, what kind of fight or flight instance you're particularly in, if you're able to ground yourself and you're able to understand why you're going into those depressive, anxiety sort of ridden pits, and you're actually able to stop going to them on purpose or be able to pull yourself out of them, then again you're going to be able to thrive in life so much easier than anybody else, because they don't have those tools and techniques to be able to get them out of the hole that they're currently in. So being able to thrive and not just survive is super, super, super important. So under the umbrella of trauma-informed coaching, trauma-informed coaching is the course that we teach, and is revolutionary in terms of how it's able to actually affect your life. Now, this is taken from the trauma-informed coaching, and it has 4 main pillars that I'm going to go through right now. So the 4 main pillars are new experiences, knowledge, healthy living, and physical training. Now, I've made a lot of little videos recently about nutrition and training being an extremely good way to be able to do all kinds of different things, be able to really change your life. Now, the 2 topics I haven't touched on at all is new experiences and knowledge. So new experiences and knowledge are, for me, they were more important to have knowledge as to why I was doing the things that I was doing, why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and why I then subsequently needed to do the things I needed to do, which led me to having new experiences, which led me to being out of my comfort zone again, which is a whole different topic. But being outside of my comfort zone then enabled me to be able to push myself through different hardships, which was harder, almost harder than what I went through in the previous section of my life. So, because that's something that a lot of life coaches give advice on. They say, if you want to be able to push yourself and do the things you don't want to do, then you've got to find something harder than what you've already done. So if it's, doing your school homework, or you're doing things for your job that you really don't want to do and you keep postponing it, if you go and find something worse than that to do, like jumping in a cold shower or going for a run, then what you actually had to do isn't anywhere near as hard, because you've just done something that's harder. That's the mindset sort of aspect from experiencing new experiences and having the knowledge as to why you do the things that you do. For me, that was the most important part. So I was training before I had all my incidents. I had good nutrition before I had all my incidents. So there was that's already taken into account. And I was just like, well, what is the main bits that drove me to actually, get on the path to recovery and actually be able to get on the other side of it and live a much better and healthier life. And it genuinely was the knowledge. For me, the knowledge was the most important part. So me up there, knowledge, and then new experiences, and then training, and then healthy living. Now, the healthy living, again, is a whole different video, which I've already made. Healthy living, it encompasses so much, from nutrition to exercise to good cardiovascular health to good mindset to good motivation, discipline, balance. Is fair. It's a lot that goes into that side of things, the healthy living category. And again, that's why I've made a whole different video on it, because it's so much more in depth than realistically most people actually take into consideration. Most people, when they look at healthy living, it's all about, okay, if I go for a run and I start eating a salad, then I'm going to be healthy. And that's realistically not the way to look at it. You know, you've got to look at your body as a machine, as something that needs to be run properly and needs to be looked after. And, you know, if you look after it, then you can live well past 90, 100 years old. It's simply doing the right things for a longer period of your life than not doing the right things. So on the video today, as I've already made a healthy living video and we're already making a new experiences video, today we're just going to be touching on physical training and how that's actually going to really actually change your life, rather than just, oh, going to the gym, new year, new me sort of bullshit. And knowledge, and why knowledge is extremely important. So like I said, for me, knowledge is simply understanding why. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to know why things happen, why people do the things they do, and all of this kind of stuff. Now, realistically, you can't always know why, but you know why more than you think you can know why, and that is super. Now, the thing is, super good, is that really the way you want to go for it? Like, you can always learn new things, and you can always understand why. And people are almost scared of knowledge these days, because they worry that, you know, if they know too much, then what's going to happen? It's just like, well, you have better control of your mind, you have better control over your body, you have better control over every aspect of your life if you know more. You know, knowledge is the key that just, you know, it's just sort of the gift that keeps on giving. For example, some knowledge that is extremely nice to have, but at the same time it is almost really horrible to know, that over 700,000 people commit suicide every single year, and that is a 2-to-1 ratio from men to women. So double the amount of men kill themselves as women, and there have been lots of studies on why this happens, and I'm not going to go into that today, because that's just a personal opinion. And what I wanted to touch on with that fact is that people who are unable to start thriving and they are just stuck surviving, there's only so long you can survive for when you're in a very depressive, very anxious, very trauma-ridden state of some description. You struggle to get out of bed. Like, it's happened. I've been there. It's horrible when you really can't get out of bed and you are struggling with mental health, and it is hard, and there aren't enough men talking about it. All I see is this hyper masculine side of TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and there are those hyper masculine men always getting on with stuff, and that's cool, right? I don't agree with either end of the spectrum. I think it's gone wildly too far in both directions. You've got the hyper masculine men, which again, you look at different religions and like this whole stuff with like Andrew Tate and stuff. Now, if you're going to look at Andrew Tate's masculinity, and a load of guys love him and they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to aspire to be like, and there's loads of women that are like, he's a misogynist, he's that, and realistically, I think everybody's wrong in that turn of phrase, because like, that's his religion, that's what he wants to do. So I don't think he should be criticized by women, because it's not him, that's his religion. So why are they not criticizing the religion as a whole? So there's point number one I've got an issue with in that sort of realm. Number two is that way the other way with the whole male side of things, in terms of being way too masculine and not having any kind of feelings and not showing anything. I think that's also wrong, because, you know, there's a fine line when it comes to all of this sort of being too masculine or too feminine, and like, again, that's a whole different topic that I'm not going to get into, because realistically that's not the point of the video. But the point that I was trying to make with that side of things is that I feel like men, more specifically than women, are trapped from either being too masculine or too feminine, and they don't know where the middle ground is. And so realistically, that middle ground is where most men are going to find their happiness, because they're going to be able to enjoy their time with their wife or their girlfriend or whatever it is in a non-masculine setting, which is going to make her happy. From a lot of the women that I've spoken to, they like it when their guy is, you know, not overly masculine all the time, because it's just a bit too much. There are some girls that like that, and that's cool. and then they're faced with wanting to be masculine around their friends. So it's like having that sort of dividing line of where you find yourself either being too masculine or too feminine, but it's enjoying your life in that sort of realm. I feel like when people are pushed in one way or the other too much, they feel like they don't know really where they sit, and there's all this sort of, oh, I want to do this and I want to be this, and I identify as a cat and I want to identify as a toaster, and it's, oh, it's wrong to do that and you can't do this. It's, I understand everybody's got their opinions and everybody wants, you know, their own sort of life and that sound, but I feel like if it's going to start, considering men already kill themselves 2-to-1 to women, I don't feel like there should be this much pressure. And that's really my point. There shouldn't be this much pressure on being who you want to be and like coming out at such an early age and all this kind of malarkey. At the end of the day, if you really want to start thriving in life and just stop surviving, then being happy with who you are and who you want to be is the first stage. Yes, moreover, my point being that it's the suicidal rates are absolutely extraordinary, and I don't think that that is good for anybody. And now realistically, if we're going to bring suicide down and we're going to start having this more open conversation, then it needs to be safe, specifically more for men than women, to have a voice to be able to want to do the things that they want to do in terms of like showing emotion. There's a very fine line between men showing emotion and being able to do that, you know, not in touch with their feminine side, but everybody has emotions, everybody has feelings, you know, you can't just switch them off because I'm a man, I need to get on with it. Like that doesn't work. Right, I understand that there is a very fine line between motivation and discipline, right? And sometimes you do just have to switch it off and get on with it. And I've done it, I've witnessed it, and most of the time, you know, that's the difference between men and women, is that men can just shut off those emotions if they need to and get on with things. But at some point, if they don't address those emotions, they'll have a big crumble and they'll break down, right? That's still going to happen. Whereas women, I've found a lot more rounded, that they will need to show their emotions much more often than men do. And that's also fine. It doesn't matter which way it goes. I'm not criticizing either gender or any of the genders for doing anything in any particular way. All I'm saying is that we need to have a more open conversation and a more open discussion about knowledge and feelings and these emotions, so that you're actually able to have a safe space to be able to talk to each other, because that's what is essentially causing all of this suicide, is that men feel like they have to be one way or the other, and they have to do this and they have to do that, when actually they could just do whatever the hell they want to do. And then hopefully that will bring the suicide rates down. If they have found they have somewhere safe to speak and they have somewhere and someone they're able to confide in, then suicide rates will drop, because they feel listened to, they feel happier. And there's a lot of debate about whether people should, about whether, you know, specifically men should feel validated and respected and pushed, or if they should feel like women do when they feel listened to and accepted. It doesn't really matter, because each individual person is going to be different. So actually, in my personal opinion, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference. There is no right thing to do or no wrong thing to do for any particular gender, because every gender is going to have, they're like waves, and everybody's going to be different within inside of that gender. So you have to listen to the individual. You can't listen to the gender, or you can't listen to the people as a whole. You have to listen to the person as an individual and address the person's needs, so that the person can actually enjoy their life to the fullest, and again, stop surviving and start thriving. It all comes around in a big circle. So it's been said before that knowledge is power, but it really, really is. Knowledge is power. Like, I wouldn't be where I was today if I didn't understand why I was going through the things I was going through, how I was going through them, why, you know, all of those different questions that I had, you know, and I still have a million questions, and I'm still answering them on a daily basis, because the pursuit of knowledge never ends. It's never, ever, ever going to end. Look at us and technology and us going to space and exploring the deepest parts of the ocean. The knowledge side of things is never going to want to end as a species. So it's the same thing with us individually. You learn the most about yourself, and then you'll be, you know, nobody can question you about yourself. You are the expert of yourself. Sometimes we do say, oh yeah, my partner knows me better than I know myself, and sometimes that is true, but very rarely. You are the expert on yourself, and nobody can ever question you about what you've been doing in your life, because you know exactly what you've been doing and what you haven't been doing. So I think it's super important that not only, obviously, you already know the most about you, so why not learn more about you, if that makes sense? Because the more you know about yourself, then the more you can guide others to help you and guide yourself to help others, because you actually understand your life path and you understand what is actually going to happen to you in the future and how it's going to happen and all these different things about where your life is going. Now, you know, because if you understand where your life is going, then you can either have people jump on your train or jump off your train, and depending on who's on your train with you is depending on actually how far that train's going to go in the first place. So there's knowledge, and then there's physical training, and again, physical training comes into knowledge within and out of itself anyway, because if you understand what you do and don't like to do, then you'll understand what kind of physical training you want to do. And there's physical training that if you want to live longer, you have to do. If you want to have good joints and bone health, then you shouldn't do. And there's all these different things, but that's only going to happen when you know what's happening. You know, so there's safe sports and there's not safe sports in terms of joint and muscle and bone health, because like high impact sports like football, for example, not many people are able to do football for their entire life, because they'll be riddled with joint pain, muscle pain, back pain, all these different kinds of things, because they've been just doing that high impact sport, running around all the time. Then you've got sports like cycling, which are in a much lower risk and a much lower intensity, even when you're going balls to the wall, than football is. You know, then you've got things like swimming, which is like the best of both worlds, because you're in a levitated environment, so you're in a zero. You weigh nothing when you're in water, so there's that aspect as well. Then you've got things like weight training. If you want to have strong bones and strong joints and strong muscles, and you want to live a much longer life, then weight training is extremely important. But there's different kinds of weight training. There's power building, there's bodybuilding, there's powerlifting, calisthenics, loads, and you know, the list goes on. Functional training. There's loads of different aspects of training that you could do that realistically could completely change your life and would be absolutely phenomenal. So physical training is a must, because again, it releases all of these endorphins and hormones in the brain, and it allows you to feel better with, you know, with just simply moving around and doing some exercise. You know, there's the minimum step count a day by just going out and having a walk around, and the way that having the sun on your skin is indefinitely going to keep some diseases at bay, and so, you know, keep you fit and healthy. You know, people who stay inside all year round are way more ill than people who are outside all the time. So, and that's simply because of the vitamin D3 deficiency. It's just as simple as that. So, you know, there's that aspect as well. And then there's, again, the whole healthy living in terms of getting your vitamins, getting minerals, and getting all the things that you need to do, and all these different deficiencies that, you know, are quite visible in the human body that simply come from a food deficiency. So there's two of the pillars broken down from my personal experience about that, how they can directly change your life. You know, two of the main four pillars, and again, the other two pillars are being covered in different videos because they're much more in depth. So go and check out those videos if you haven't already. So check out the healthy living video and the new experiences video. And I've got nothing else. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and I shall see you guys in the next one.